Former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen pleads guilty to lying to Congress about Moscow Trump Tower project following 70 hours with Mueller. His president says he's weak and making up a story. Former Trump lawyer Michael Cohen pleaded guilty to a federal charge of lying to Congress on Thursday, according to news reports. He admitted that he misled federal lawmakers about a proposed deal to build a Trump Tower project in Moscow, something he was working on in 2015 and 2016, while President Donald Trump was running for the White House. Cohen has previously said the project was shelved in January 2016, but it appears to have extended longer. President Trump bashed his former confidant as he left the White House, saying he's lying and making up a story in order to get a reduced sentence. He's a weak person and not a very smart person, Trump told reporters. Cohen's courtroom comeuppance came after Cohen gave special counsel Robert Mueller and his team 70 hours of interviews. They pressed him on Trump's real estate business ties in Russia, possible discussions with the president about pardons, and obstruction of justice. Cohen appeared outside the federal courthouse in Manhattan with his lawyer Guy Petrillo, who told reporters, "Mr. Cohen has cooperated. Mr. Cohen will continue to cooperate." Sentencing is set for December 12. He has already testified in a Manhattan courtroom that he made an illegal hush money payment to Stormy Daniels, a pornographic actress who claims to have bedded Trump a decade ago, in coordination with and at the direction of Trump. Virginia Democratic Senator Mark Warner told reporters that Cohen's admissions were part of a rollout of close Trump allies pleading guilty almost always to their trying to hide their ties with Russia and the Russians' attempt to infiltrate the Trump campaign. You've got all these close associates of the president, one after another, pleading guilty, often pleading guilty about their ties to Russia and Russians. And what are they covering up for? If anything the president said is true, that there's no there, why are all his closest associates being found guilty of lying about their ties to Russia? Warner asked. The latest twist in his saga will come with an attached string of dozens of hours of testimony that could be criminally damaging to the president. Cohen's new charge comes from Mueller. His previous ones, bank and tax charges to which he has already pleaded guilty, were lodged by federal prosecutors in the Southern District of New York. At issue is Cohen's testimony before two congressional panels in September 2017 during the course of their own Russia investigations. At the time, he was still considered a loyal Trump foot soldier. Some of his testimony related to the construction of a Trump World Tower Moscow, a project that involved the Agalarov family, who was also involved in the effort to set up a Trump Tower meeting with Russians in 2016. Cohen testified before Congress that the tower project had fizzled, saying the proposal was not feasible for a variety of business reasons and should not be pursued further, Yahoo News reported in May. However, Cohen's communications with Moscow-born developer Felix Sater revealed that the contacts continued beyond what Cohen admitted during his sworn testimony. Sater handed over his texts and emails to Mueller's investigators. The texts and other communications revealed Cohen and Sater were discussing the project as late as May 2016. That puts the high-level talks about a plan to build the tallest building in Moscow well into the Republican nominating process. Trump during the campaign said repeatedly he didn't have business dealings with Russia. Emails between Sater and Cohen revealed Sater's efforts to pitch the skyscraper project to the Trump organization. Sater said he could get Russian President Vladimir Putin to say great things about Trump. In a statement released before his closed-door sessions with congressional investigators, Cohen said he had nothing to do with any Russian involvement in our electoral processes and never saw anything, not a hint of anything, that demonstrated President Trump's involvement in Russian interference in our election or any form of Russian collusion. He is expected to be sentenced to between 4 and 5 years in prison in December for his first federal case. It's unclear if the new guilty plea will involve more jail time. Cohen has publicly turned against President Trump since the FBI raided his home and offices in April. Prosecutors deemed the $130,000 Stormy Daniels payment illegal because it was intended to help Trump avoid an embarrassing electoral loss to Hillary Clinton and was therefore an in-kind political contribution far in excess of the limits of the law. Cohen's earlier plea also covered his role in arranging an illegal payment from the parent company of the National Enquirer to Karen McDougal, a former Playboy model who claimed to have had a Trump affair. At Cohen's request, American Media Incorporated bought the rights to McDougal's life story and sat on it without publishing anything, in a practice known as catch and kill. American media's chairman and CEO, David Pecker, is a longtime Trump friend. Read the plea documents from Michael Cohen. On Thursday, Donald Trump's longtime personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, pleaded guilty to lying to Congress about a possible Trump Organization real estate project in Moscow that was under consideration during the 2016 presidential campaign. According to a court filing from special counsel Robert Mueller, Cohen told Congress in August 2017 that discussion of a Trump development project in Moscow ended in January 2016, but discussions about it in fact continued as late as approximately June 2016, the same month as the infamous Trump Tower meeting between top Trump campaign officials and a Kremlin-connected lawyer who promised to provide them with dirt on Hillary Clinton. The filing also indicates Cohen discussed the deal directly with Trump more than 3 times, briefed his family members about it, and agreed to travel to Russia in connection with the Moscow project, and took steps in contemplation of Individual One's possible travel to Russia. Individual One is Trump. I made these statements to be consistent with Individual One's political messaging and to be loyal to Individual One, Cohen reportedly said in court. 1. From in her around 2007 through in her around January 2017. Michael Cohen, the defendant, was an attorney and employee of a Manhattan-based real estate company, the company. Cohen held the title of executive vice president and special counsel to the owner of the company, Individual One. False statements to the U.S. Congress. Point 2. On or about January 13, 2017, the U.S. Senate Select Committee on Intelligence (SSCI) announced that it would conduct an investigation into Russian election interference and possible links between Russia and individuals associated with political campaigns. On or about January 25, 2017, the House of Representatives Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence (HPSCI) announced that it also was conducting an investigation. Point 2. Into Russian election interference and possible links between Russia and individuals associated with political campaigns. Point 3. On or about August 28, 2017, Cohen caused a 2-page letter to be sent on his behalf to SSCI and HPSCI. The letter. Addressed his efforts at the company to pursue a branded property in Moscow, Russia, the Moscow Project. Cohen stated the purpose of the letter was to provide the committee with additional information regarding the proposal, referring to the Moscow project. Point 4. In the letter to SSCI and HPSCI, Cohen knowingly and deliberately made the following false representations. A. The Moscow project ended in January 2016 and was not discussed extensively with others in the company. The proposal was under consideration at the company from September 2015 until the end of January 2016. By the end of January 2016, I determined that the proposal was not feasible for a variety of business reasons and should not be pursued further. Based on my business determinations, the company abandoned the Moscow project proposal. To the best of my knowledge, Individual One was never in contact with anyone about this proposal other than me on 3 occasions. I did not ask or brief Individual. Point 3.1 or any of his family before I made the decision to terminate further work on the proposal. B. Cohen never agreed to travel to Russia in connection with the Moscow project and never considered asking Individual One to travel for the project. I primarily communicated with the Moscow-based development company through a U.S. citizen third-party intermediary, Individual 2. Individual 2. Constantly asked me to travel to Moscow as part of his efforts to push forward the discussion of the proposal. I ultimately determined that the proposal was not feasible and never agreed to make a trip to Russia. Despite overtures by Individual 2, I never considered asking Individual 1 to travel to Russia in connection with this proposal. C. Cohen did not recall any Russian government response or contact about the Moscow project. In mid-January. 2016, Individual 2 suggested that I send an email to Russian official 1, the press secretary for the president of Russia, since the proposal would require approvals within the Russian government that had not been issued. Those permissions were never provided. I decided to abandon the proposal less than 2 weeks later for business reasons, and do not recall any response to my email, nor any other contacts by me with Russian official one or other Russian government officials about the proposal. Point 5. On or about September 19, 2017, Cohen was scheduled to appear before SSCI accompanied by counsel. In prepared remarks released to the public, Cohen stated, "I assume we will discuss the rejected proposal to build a company-branded property in Moscow that was terminated in January of 2016, which occurred before the Iowa caucus and months before the very first primary. This was solely a real estate deal and nothing more. I was doing my job. I would ask that the two-page statement about the Moscow proposal that I sent to the committee in August be incorporated into and attached to this transcript. 6. On or about October 25, 2017, Cohen gave testimony to SSCI, which included testimony about the Moscow project consistent with his prepared remarks and his two-page statement. 7. In truth and in fact, and as Cohen well knew, Cohen's representations about the Moscow project he made to SSCI and HPSCI were false and misleading. Cohen made the false statements to 1. Minimize links between the Moscow project and Individual 1 and 2. Give the false impression that the Moscow project ended before the Iowa caucus and the very first primary in hopes of limiting the ongoing Russia investigations. Cohen attempted to conceal or minimize through his false statements the following facts. A. The Moscow project was discussed multiple times within The company and did not end in January 2016. Instead, as late as approximately June 2016, Cohen and Individual 2 discussed efforts to obtain Russian governmental approval for the Moscow project. Cohen discussed the status and progress of the Moscow project with Individual 1 on more than the 3 occasions Cohen claimed to the committee, and he briefed family members of Individual 1 within the company about the project. B. Cohen agreed to travel to Russia in connection with the Moscow project and took steps in contemplation of Individual 1's possible travel to Russia. Cohen and Individual 2 discussed on multiple occasions traveling to Russia to pursue the Moscow project. Cohen asked Individual 1 about the possibility of Individual 1 traveling to Russia in connection with the Moscow project and asked a senior campaign official about potential business travel to Russia. On or about May 4, 2016, Individual 2 wrote to Cohen, "I had a chat with Moscow. Assuming the trip does happen, the question is before or after The convention. Obviously the pre-meeting trip, you only can happen anytime you want, but The two big guys were sick the question. I said I would confirm and revert." Cohen responded, "My trip before Cleveland. Individual 1 once he becomes the nominee after the convention. On or about May 5, 2016, Individual 2 followed UP with Cohen and wrote, Russian official 1 would like to invite you as his guest to the St. Petersburg Forum, which is Russia's Davos. It's June 16-19. He wants to meet there with YOU and possibly introduce you to either the President of Russia or the Prime Minister of Russia, as they are not sure if one or both will be there. He said anything you want to discuss including dates and subjects are on the table to discuss. If on or about May 6, 2016, Individual 2 asked Cohen to confirm those dates would work for him to travel. Cohen wrote back, "Works for me." V. From on or about June 9 to June 14, 2016, Individual 2 sent numerous messages to Cohen about the travel, including forms for Cohen to complete. However, on or about June 14, 2016, Cohen met Individual 2 in the lobby of the company's headquarters to inform Individual 2 he would not be traveling at that time. Cohen did recall that in or around January 2016, Cohen received a response from the Office of Russian Official 1, the press secretary for the President of Russia, and spoke to a member of that office about the Moscow project. On or about January 14, 2016, Cohen emailed Russian Official 1's office asking for assistance in connection with the Moscow project. On or about January 16, 2016, Cohen emailed Russian Official 1's office again, said he was trying to reach another high-level Russian official and asked for someone who spoke English to contact him. II. On or about January 20, 2016, Cohen received an email from the personal assistant to Russian. Official 1, Assistant 1, stating that she had been trying to reach Cohen and requesting that he call her using a Moscow-based phone number she provided. III. Shortly after receiving the email, Cohen called Assistant 1 and spoke to her for approximately 20 minutes. On that call, Cohen described his position at the company and outlined the proposed Moscow project, including the Russian development company with which the company had partnered. Cohen requested assistance in moving the project forward, both in securing land to build the proposed tower and financing the construction. Assistant 1 asked detailed questions and took notes, stating that she would follow up with others in Russia. IV. The day after Cohen's call with Assistant 1, Individual 2 contacted him, asking for a call. Individual 2 wrote to Cohen, "It's about the President of Russia they called today." Point 8. Paragraphs 1 through 7 of this information are alleged and incorporated by reference, as if fully set forth herein. 9. On or about August 28, 2017, the defendant Michael Cohen in the District of Columbia and elsewhere, in a matter within the jurisdiction of the legislative branch of the government of the United States, knowingly and willfully made a materially false, fictitious, and fraudulent statement and representation, to wit. Cohen caused to be submitted a written statement to SSCI containing material false statements about the Moscow project, including false statements about the timing of the Moscow project, discussions with people in the company and in Russia about the Moscow project, and contemplated travel to Russia in connection with the Moscow project.